Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, and I just wanted to read out this tribute that this little boy's brother paid to him today. Now, this, I think there's not many of you out there that are watching this, certainly if you're from the UK, and certainly if you're from Manchester. In the UK, there's not probably none of you that won't recognise this little face of Keith Bennett. And Keith Bennett was one of the victims of the Moors murderers. Ian Brady and Myra Hindley. I'm not going to put a picture of them up. And unfortunately, Keith's little body was never found. He's thought to, despite various searches, he was never found. People are still looking for him, and we can only hope that one day he may be found, just to be laid to rest decently. But Keith's mum, Winnie, she's another figure that most of us will recognise. How many times over the years, ever since I was little, periodically on the telly we'd see pictures of Winnie with the photo of Keith, knowing that he was dead, knowing that Hindley and Brady, they did pay. Justice was found for their crimes. They paid with their, they lost their liberty. They were lucky to escape the death penalty, because the death penalty had only just been abolished when all this happened. Anyway, they lived out their lives in prison. Neither of them was free ever again. And they're both deceased now. And, nobody's sorry about that, are they? Probably spinning in hell where they deserve to be. But poor Winnie, right to her dying day, she was trying to find her son, and she find the remains of her son, and she never did find him. Well, I hope she's reunited with him now. I hope they're together. And maybe one day, who knows? Little Keith, 12-year-old Keith, one day, you never know, he might be found. Anyway, hopefully him and his mum are together again now. Now, I just wanted to read this out because apparently today, which is the 16th of June, 2025. So this Keith disappeared in 1964. On this day, June the 16th, 4 days after his 12th birthday, Keith joined those other poor children that will all sort of, their names will be known forever because of what Myra Hindley and Ian Brady did to them. So on this day, 4 days after his 12th birthday, Keith was going to spend the night at our grand's house. So don't forget, this is Alan Bennett saying this, his brother. My mother was going to bingo, and she walked with Keith to the zebra crossing at busy Stockport Road. What we have to remember is in those times, children did, he was 12, but even younger children than that did walk about a lot more, alone, etc. And that is something that Hindley and Brady took advantage of, didn't they? Once he had crossed and they had waved goodbye to each other, they went on their way. Keith was only a few streets away from the safety of Gran's house, so he was literally just going the short distance to his Gran's house. Keith would have passed a small side street that led through to Westmoreland Street, where Brady lived. It's now known that Hindley used to park in that street, waiting for Brady to join her. Somewhere along the familiar route Keith took to Gran's house, the vehicle with both Brady and Hindley inside pulled up alongside him. Keith was enticed into the vehicle Now, there's no way that Keith would have got into that vehicle probably if it would have only been Ian Brady. It was Myra Hindley enticed him into the vehicle. Often she would do that while Brady was on a motorbike outside the vehicle. So, yeah, Myra Hindley, she's one of those typical double deviants. What she did was terrible, but it seems even worse because it was a woman who did it. So then he was driven to Saddleworth Moor, and that is where Keith was sex assaulted, murdered and buried. It is, and always will be, very hard to accept that later that same night the rest of us slept safe and sound in our beds while Keith had been murdered and left on Saddleworth Moor. It was not until the following morning that we all discovered Keith had disappeared. When my gran got to my mother's house the following morning, I heard the question, "Where's Keith?" Neither my gran nor my mother had a telephone at home. I know that seems strange to people now, but I was 16 before we had a telephone at home. People just didn't have it. My mother thought Keith had arrived at my gran's. My gran thought that Keith had changed his mind and decided to stay at home. I will never forget the confusion of that morning that quickly turned into panic and terror. Please, once again, can I ask that you spare a thought of remembrance for Keith today? Well, not only Keith, but Winnie, of course. I'd like to remember. So anyway, I hope you'll join me in a little prayer for them and light a candle if you have one, if not a virtual candle. And yeah, hopefully they're together, sleeping in the arms of angels. Thank you for caring. Bye.